Hey everyone, welcome to this deep dive. And we're going to be looking at something I think is really fascinating. And it's this idea of Christians in business for the glory of God. It's really about seeing our work, and especially in the business world, which can be so complex, right? As not just a way to make a living, but as a way to actually live out our faith.
It is compelling to think about elevating our daily efforts right in business and the hustle and bustle of it all into something very meaningful.
I think, we can all relate to getting caught up in the day-to-day grind and we lose sight of that bigger picture.
Absolutely.
But this idea of, Christians in business for the glory of God, it's a great reminder that we are called to something greater.
We are, and this perspective is ancient, right? It goes all the way back to the book of Genesis.
Oh, wow.
And the creation story and something called the dominion mandate.
Okay, the dominion mandate, that's in Genesis, right?
That's right, Genesis 1.28.
Okay, so God tells humanity to be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth and subdue it. So how does an ancient text like that apply to, running a business in the 21st century? I mean, it seems like a pretty big leap.
It is. It's about understanding the concept of stewardship.
Okay.
God gave us this responsibility to care for his creation.
Right.
And this call to cultivate and improve the world around us that extends to everything we do, including business.
So it's not just about protecting the environment then. It's about using our skills and our creativity to make a positive impact in the marketplace.
Exactly right.
Okay.
Work and business are powerful tools for good.
Okay.
It can be an avenue for expressing our faith and serving a higher purpose.
Now, this is where I think things get really interesting.
Okay.
Because, the Bible doesn't present work as a punishment or a consequence of the fall.
Right.
It's part of God's original design for humanity.
It is. That's so important.
Yeah.
Work in its purest form was meant to be fulfilling and meaningful.
Wow.
And that intrinsic value, that sense of purpose, it's something we can reclaim, even in the modern business world.
Even in the modern business world. So if work is inherently good and we are called to be stewards of God's creation, then where does this concept of Christians in business for the glory of God, where does that fit in?
It's about aligning our motivations and our actions with our faith.
Okay.
It's recognizing that we're not just working for ourselves, but we're working ultimately for God.
So how do we actually do that?
Right.
How do we bring those ideals into the practical realities of running a business?
It starts by recognizing that we are created in the image of God.
Okay.
We are endowed with incredible qualities that reflect his nature.
So, we often think of business as this, cold, hard world, but are you saying that it can actually be an outlet for expressing those very qualities that we get from being made in God's image?
Absolutely. So, think about creativity.
Okay.
Business thrives on innovation,
Yeah.
problem solving, developing new products and services that meet people's needs.
Yeah.
These are all expressions of our God-given creativity.
Okay, that makes sense. And what about relationships? Because, the business world can be pretty cutthroat.
It can be.
So how does that square with the idea of being made for connection?
Well, at its core, business is relational.
Okay.
It depends on building trust, collaborating with others, serving our customers well.
Right.
These are all opportunities to live out our faith in tangible ways.
So we've been talking about this beautiful vision of work and business as it was intended by God, but I think we need to kind of acknowledge the elephant in the room.
Okay.
The fall and the brokenness that it brought into the world, and including the marketplace.
You're absolutely right. We can't ignore sin.
Yeah.
And its impact on everything we do in the business world, it's susceptible to ethical pitfalls.
Yeah. Can you give us some examples of how the fall plays out in the business world?
Think about how marketing is often used to manipulate consumers. We're constantly being bombarded with messages that are designed to create artificial needs and desires, and they prey on our insecurities and lead us to make purchases that we don't really need.
It's almost like a distortion of that creativity, that God-given creativity we were just talking about.
Exactly.
Using it to deceive instead of to create something truly valuable.
You hit the nail on the head, and it's not just marketing.
Right.
We see exploitation happening when businesses put profit over the well-being of their employees.
Right.
Cutting corners, creating unsafe working conditions, or paying unfair wages.
And what about just the way that we as consumers are caught up in this cycle of wanting more?
Right.
It seems like, the business world often fuels that desire for material possessions.
Absolutely. This culture of consumerism where we think our worth is tied to what we own is a direct result of the fall.
It's a perversion of our God-given desire for fulfillment.
Mm-hmm.
So given all the reality of the fall and the challenges it presents.
Yeah.
Does that mean that work itself is inherently bad? Should believers just abandon the marketplace altogether?
No, not at all. It's not about abandoning business. It's about redeeming it.
Okay. I love the idea of redeeming business, but what does that look like practically?
Mm-hmm.
How can believers be agents of that redemption in this often very chaotic and complex world of business?
That's where shalom comes in.
Okay.
The Hebrew word for peace, wholeness, and flourishing in all areas of life.
Including the marketplace.
Including the marketplace.
So it's about more than just avoiding unethical practices.
It is. It's about actively working to bring God's goodness and order into the business world.
So creating a workplace where employees feel valued and respected, where customers are treated fairly, and where our products and services actually contribute to the common good.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, I'm starting to see how all of this connects.
Okay.
But let's get even more specific. What are some tangible ways that believers can live out this vision of Christians in business for the glory of God?
One powerful way is through ethical business practices.
Okay.
Being honest and transparent in our dealings, treating our employees and customers with dignity, and refusing to compromise our values.
That sounds like a pretty radical departure from the way business is often conducted in the real world.
It is radical because it's rooted in a different set of values, but it's also incredibly practical.
Okay.
When we operate our businesses with integrity, we build trust with our customers, we create a more positive work environment, and ultimately we contribute to a healthier marketplace.
Now, what about servant leadership? I hear that term a lot in Christian circles, but how does that apply to the business world?
Servant leadership is all about putting the needs of others before our own.
Okay.
It's about empowering our employees, fostering collaboration, and creating a work environment where everyone feels valued and respected.
Can you give maybe our listener a concrete example of what servant leadership might look like in a business setting?
Sure. Imagine a CEO who, instead of isolating themselves in a corner office, makes a point of regularly interacting with employees at all levels of the business.
Oh, wow.
They listen to their concerns, they seek their input, they create opportunities for everyone to contribute their talents and ideas.
That's great.
This fosters a sense of ownership and shared purpose, and it leads to a more engaged and fulfilled workforce.
So servant leadership isn't about weakness or being a pushover.
No.
It's about strength and humility.
Yeah.
And empowering others to reach their full potential.
Exactly. And it's a leadership style that is deeply aligned with the teachings of Jesus.
We've been talking about ethical practices and servant leadership, but there's another concept that keeps coming up, and that's corporate social responsibility. So how does that fit into this whole idea of Christians in business for the glory of God?
Corporate social responsibility, or CSR, is about recognizing that businesses have a responsibility to the wider community and to the environment. It's about going beyond profit maximization to consider the ethical and social impact of our operations.
So it's about businesses using their influence and resources to make a positive contribution to the world.
Precisely. And this can take many forms.
Okay.
From implementing sustainable practices to reduce our environmental impact, to supporting local charities, to ensuring fair labor practices throughout our supply chains.
So for our listener who might be thinking this all sounds great, but what does it look like in my day-to-day work? Can you give some practical examples of how they can integrate their faith into their business practices?
Sure. Let's say you work in marketing.
Okay.
You can bring your faith to the table by challenging the status quo of manipulative advertising. Instead of preying on people's insecurities, you can focus on highlighting the genuine value your product or service brings to people's lives.
Right.
You can be transparent about your pricing,
Yeah.
avoid misleading claims, and treat your customers with respect.
It sounds like even small choices can make a big difference.
They can even seemingly insignificant actions, when done with the right heart and intentions, can ripple outwards and contribute to a more just and compassionate marketplace.
What about the idea of relationship marketing? How does that align with the concept of Christians in business for the glory of God?
Relationship marketing is a powerful approach that focuses on building long-term, mutually beneficial relationships with your customers.
Okay.
It's about going beyond transactional exchanges to cultivate a sense of community and shared value.
How can believers leverage this concept to both honor God and grow their businesses?
Instead of viewing your customers as mere transactions, see them as individuals
Right.
with needs and desires. Seek to understand their unique circumstances and offer solutions that genuinely improve their lives.
Okay.
Be transparent, communicate honestly, and go the extra mile to show that you care.
It sounds like relationship marketing, when done right, can be a beautiful expression of love and service.
It certainly can, and it can lead to greater customer loyalty, a stronger brand reputation, and ultimately a more sustainable and ethical business.
So we've covered a lot of ground, from the biblical foundations of work to the challenges and opportunities presented by the fall. We've explored practical examples of how believers can live out their faith in the marketplace. But there's one more crucial aspect I think we need to address.
Yeah, you're talking about mutual benefit.
Exactly. And this principle is at the heart of Christians in business for the glory of God. So in part 2 of our deep dive, we'll explore how believers can approach business in a way that benefits not just themselves, but also their employees, customers, and the wider community.
You know, it's easy to think that business is a zero-sum game, that for one person to win, another has to lose.
Right.
But this idea of mutual benefit, especially when we look at it through, Christians in business for the glory of God, it challenges that assumption.
So it's not just about maximizing profit for the business owner.
Right.
Even if that profit is used for good.
It's about creating a system where everyone benefits.
Right.
The business owner, the employees, the customers, even the suppliers and the community.
Right. That's a really compelling idea.
Yeah.
But how do we make sure that our businesses operate on that principle? Seems very idealistic.
It starts with a shift in perspective.
Okay.
Instead of seeing profit as the ultimate goal,
Right.
we need to see it as a byproduct of creating value for others.
Okay.
When we serve our customers, we'll treat our employees fairly and operate with integrity. Profit follows.
It's like that saying, a rising tide lifts all boats.
Yeah.
So how do we apply that in a practical way?
Okay.
Let's break it down. We talked about treating employees fairly.
Yeah.
What does that look like beyond just paying a decent wage?
It means creating a work environment where employees feel valued, respected, and empowered.
Okay.
Providing opportunities for professional development,
Mm-hmm.
offering fair benefits, and creating a culture of open communication and collaboration.
So it's about investing in your employees and not just seeing them as a means to an end,
Exactly.
even if that end is a worthy cause.
When employees feel valued, they are more engaged, productive, and loyal, and it creates this positive cycle that benefits everyone.
Okay, what about customers? How do we make sure that they're also benefiting from this Christians in business for the glory of God?
It goes back to that idea of creating value.
Okay,
Are we offering products that meet their needs?
right.
Are we honest in our marketing and sales practices?
Mm-hmm.
Are we going the extra mile to provide good customer service?
So it's about building trust and fostering those relationships.
Yes, and when customers feel valued, they're more likely to be repeat customers and even advocates for your business.
It's a win-win.
Exactly.
You mentioned suppliers earlier.
Yeah.
How does mutual benefit play into those relationships?
Suppliers are essential partners in any business.
Right.
When we treat them fairly, negotiate ethically, and pay them on time, we build trust and respect.
Okay.
It also ensures that they can continue to provide us with the high-quality goods and services we need to operate.
It's like a ripple effect. When we prioritize mutual benefit, it extends out to all aspects of our business and even beyond.
Exactly. And that brings us to the wider community. How can our businesses contribute to the communities where we operate? This is another part of living out our faith.
So this is where corporate social responsibility comes back in.
Yes.
We talked about it earlier.
Absolutely.
But can you expand on how it relates to mutual benefit?
Corporate social responsibility, or CSR,
Right.
is about recognizing that we have a responsibility to be good stewards of the resources we use and to minimize our negative impact on the environment.
Mm-hmm.
We can also contribute to the community
Right.
by supporting charities, creating jobs, investing in initiatives that improve the quality of life for everyone.
It's about being a blessing to our community,
Right.
not just taking from it.
And when we do that, we are fulfilling our calling and we are creating a more just and sustainable world.
We talked a lot about collaboration
We have.
and mutual benefit.
Yeah.
But what about competition? It's such a huge part of the free market. How does this Christians in business for the glory of God, how does that fit into a competitive landscape?
It's easy to see competition as a battle where only one can win.
Right.
But what if we saw it as a way to improve ourselves, to push each other to be better? What if we saw it as an opportunity to elevate the whole industry?
So instead of tearing each other down, we use it to inspire each other.
Exactly. When we compete ethically and focus on providing value, it raises the bar for everyone. It leads to better products and services and a more vibrant marketplace.
It's a really interesting perspective shift. Instead of fearing competition, we embrace it as a good thing.
And even in a competitive environment, collaboration is possible.
Okay.
We can partner with each other on initiatives that benefit the community, share best practices, and learn from each other.
So it's about recognizing we're all in this together.
Exactly.
And we can achieve more together.
That spirit of collaboration is at the heart of the kingdom of God.
So to sum up, mutual benefit is about so much more than making a profit.
It is.
It's about creating a win-win for everyone.
Yes.
Employees, customers, suppliers, the community, and even competitors.
It's about seeing business as a force for good in the world, a way to express our faith and bring glory to God.
And when we operate our businesses with this in mind,
Yes.
we're not only fulfilling our calling,
Right.
but we're also creating a better world.
A more just compassionate and flourishing world.
We've covered a lot of ground
We have.
in this deep dive exploring this concept of Christians in business for the glory of God.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about the biblical foundations of work, the challenges and opportunities, and the practical ways we can live out our faith.
Yes, and our journey doesn't end here.
Okay.
In part 3, we are going to look at some real-world examples of businesses and individuals who are embodying these principles.
I'm excited about that.
We'll explore how they are integrating their faith into their practices and making a positive impact on the world.
You know, sometimes it helps to see things in action, to really grasp an idea.
Yeah?
So let's look at some real-world examples of Christians in business for the glory of God. How people are actually putting these principles into practice.
Yeah, one that comes to mind is 2MS Shoes. They have the one-for-one model.
Right. For every pair of shoes you buy, they donate a pair to a child in need.
Exactly. It's such a simple but powerful idea.
Yeah.
They're really weaving their values right into their business model.
Mm-hmm.
They're not just selling shoes, they're making a difference in the lives of kids.
It's a great example of using business for good and doing it in a way that really works and can grow.
Absolutely.
What other examples are out there?
Well, Patagonia is doing amazing things.
Oh, yeah. They're really big on sustainability.
Yeah, they're showing that you can care for the environment and still be profitable.
So what are some specific things they're doing?
Well, they use recycled materials in their products.
Okay.
They support fair labor practices, and they really push for policies that protect the environment. They're not just talking about it, they're doing it.
It's great to see a company put their values first. You know, it challenges the idea that you have to choose between doing good and making money.
Exactly. You can do both.
You can be successful and compassionate.
Absolutely.
Now, those are big companies. Yeah. What about smaller businesses or individual entrepreneurs?
There are tons of examples of them living out their faith, too.
Can you share a specific story, something our listeners can relate to?
I read about a bakery owner who was really concerned about homeless women in her city,
Oh, wow.
and she decided to use her bakery to give them jobs
That's amazing.
and a chance for a better life.
It's one thing to donate to a charity, but it's another to actually create those opportunities.
Right, and she didn't just give them jobs. She offered mentorship and training and a supportive community. It was incredible.
It shows that even a small business can have a huge impact.
Exactly.
You don't have to be a giant corporation to make a difference.
That's right.
So what does all this mean for our listener? How can they take this and apply it to their own work, whatever it is?
The main thing is that anyone can be a Christian in business for the glory of God. It's not about your job title, it's about your heart.
So it's about bringing our faith into everything we do at work.
Yeah, how we treat our employees, how we interact with customers, how we do business.
Being honest, ethical, providing value, being good stewards of what we have,
Yep.
and using our influence to make a difference.
Exactly. It's about being salt and light everywhere.
Seeing our work as a chance to live out our faith and bring glory to God.
That's it.
And, you know, when we do that,
Yeah.
we not only honor God, but we help create a better world.
More just compassionate and flourishing world for everyone.
As we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with one last thought. What kind of legacy do you want to leave behind? How do you want to be remembered?
That's a great question to think about. As believers in business, we have this amazing chance to build something successful and leave a mark of faith and integrity and compassion, something that points to Christ.
And maybe our work will inspire others to join us on this journey of Christians in business for the glory of God.
That would be amazing. We could be a part of changing the marketplace to reflect God's goodness.
Well, this has been a great conversation.
It has.
Thanks for joining me on this deep dive into Christians in business for the glory of God.
It's been my pleasure.
Remember, no matter where you work or what you do, you can make a difference by bringing your faith into your work. Let's be a force for good in the world and show the love of Christ in the marketplace.